Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Please remember to like and subscribe. The atmosphere in the Cucumino County Courthouse was so thick that it felt as though the walls were breathing. It was more than just the scorching Arizona heat. Tension was the cause. TLC producers hovered in the shadows like vultures, waiting for the perfect dramatic shot as residents and die-hard Sister Wives fans crowded the mahogany panel chamber shoulder to shoulder. With her fingers clasped on the edge of the table, Robyn Brown sat rigidly in her blue dress suit in the front table till they turned white. This was no ordinary court day. Years of contentious legal battle came to an end with this. Before her, Meri and Janelle Brown, who hadn't slept together in almost 10 years, were cuddled close to their solicitors, going through stacks of paperwork. Kody Brown was standing behind Robyn, trying to project confidence, but his foot betrayed him, tapping nervously under the table. Previously its major attraction, the golden pompadour now lay lifeless like a tired mop. Judge Harrington leaned forward, sharp and uncompromising. The reason we're here today is to hear the Brown versus Brown case. Before glaring at Robyn, she combed over the proof, financial trickery, transfer fraud, and real estate issues. Her voice was forceful and crisp. This court rules in favor of the plaintiffs, Meri Brown and Janelle Brown. Throughout the courtroom, there were gasps. Robyn's mouth fell open. What? It's not fair, no. I own those houses. The judge said. The evidence is overwhelming. The transfer of the deed was illegal. All 3 homes will be returned to their rightful co-owners, who will leave within 30 days. The gavel's blow was the last one. Cameras were crowded outside. Robyn's face was concealed. Kody shoved her forward while asking a lot of questions. Robyn, are you getting evicted? Do you wish you hadn't married Kody? Meri, how does it feel to win at last? Meri's eyes remained fixed. Behind her, decades of treachery. She stood in front of the cameras with justice finally in grasp. Justice seems to have finally arrived. Janelle added a small, contented smile, more reserved but no less resolute. We took back our lives, not our belongings. Robyn negotiated half-packed boxes and scattered belongings at her Flagstaff McMansion. Her kids gazed wide-eyed at the stairs. Why are they pilfering our belongings? Brianna's tone faltered. Robyn hugged her kid tightly and whispered, because people are heartless. They wish for us to suffer. Kody leaned back and browsed through his phone, his shoulders slumping with each ding. He was aware of the reality. The court's ruling was correct. The decision was unavoidable, even if Robyn begged him to continue fighting. The finality struck when the sheriff's officer showed up with the formal eviction notice. Less than a month remained till everything was different. Just a few years ago, it would have been unimaginable for Meri and Janelle to sit together in a tiny coffee shop across town. The newly sealed property papers between them. I didn't think we'd ever get here. Silently, Janelle said. To which Meri replied, she stole more than homes. Their victory was quiet, almost sacred. She stole years, our faith, our family. But this, she touched the papers. This is the beginning of taking it back. Just the fact of closure. No yelling, no champagne. A moving truck was parked in Robyn's driveway on the day of the eviction. On the porch, she covered herself with a blanket and gazed at the deputies while they took each picture frame off of each bare wall. There was a remind yourself of the life she had created. Kody's promises were crumbling. By midday, the final box was filled. Before boarding the SUV, Robyn took one more glance back. She was no longer a picture-perfect, camera-ready wife. The woman had lost the wager of her life. Robyn walked about their tiny rental. They are ridiculing us. Janelle and Meri are already having a party. You were meant to look after us, I wager. Kody didn't raise his head. We were unable to prevail. I informed you. She tensed as she observed the decline in his eyes. A man who no longer has the fairy story he previously claimed. Later, Janelle held a large manila envelope in a real estate office that smelt faintly of wood polish and paper. 2 brass keys were pushed along the counter by the agent. Well done. Officially, both houses are once more in your name. Meri exhaled deeply as she ran her fingers over the icy metal. Janelle said, it's strange to go back to something you thought was lost forever. Meri gave a nod. Strange but true. They stepped outside into the Arizona sun. Was no longer oppressive. It was like the sun emerging after decades of gloom. It was eerily still when Meri and Janelle walked into the house Robyn had fought to save. In one corner was a smashed lamp. A couple of half-packed boxes appeared to have been tossed together carelessly, and a stack of unopened letters stood unattended on the counter. That ghost of Robyn's perfume was still there, hanging in the air. Janelle's voice faded to a whisper as they crossed the empty living room. Meri ran her hand along the banister, pausing at a deep scratch in the wood, and said, "This place feels different, like all the stress has been packed up and moved out." "No," she said in a whisper. They began the workmanlike chores, making lists of things like walls to paint, furniture to replace, and repairs to schedule. But below it all was the subtle joy of being back in this house. The tension's still here. We just get to choose what to do with it now. Robyn paced the cramped dwelling quarters downtown. Their two-bedroom rented room. As boxes piled towards the ceiling, the children quarreled about who would take up which area of the shared bedroom. More to herself than to Kody, she moaned to herself. "This is unfair. Our dream house turned into this." Staring at his phone, Kody sat at the kitchen table. Even he didn't think so, but he said matter-of-factly that it's temporary. He had called as many lawyers as he could recall. Nobody would come near the case. The TLC production crew had retreated as well, anticipating if the family's disintegration would be fully revealed before a new season was renewed. A cabinet door was banged by Robyn. Being temporary doesn't lessen the humiliation. In Flagstaff, word got around fast. Meri was stopped outside the produce section at the store by two middle-aged women. "We read about the court news," one person added with a smile. "Well done. You received unfair treatment." Meri, used to strangers' pity or criticism, felt something different at that moment. Show respect. On the other side of town, however, Robyn had the opposite experience. A woman spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear in the deli area of another store. The McMansion days must be past. Robyn's cheeks turned red. Without turning around, she got out of her cart. That night, Janelle was standing in her kitchen, which she had reclaimed, with a notebook open on the counter. She saw vegetable plots outside the window, the communal garden she had long dreamed of. She called Logan her son. She responded, "This is more than just a house. It serves as a base. The kids can always go back there." "Mom," he said quietly, "you have my admiration. This is something you earned." Bills were lying on the kitchen counter in the rent. White envelopes with a red stamp on them. "Due respect. We cannot continue to live this way." Robyn growled. Attorney expenses, rent, and relocating costs were overwhelming. Kody gave his temples a rub. "How should I proceed?" "Get rid of my truck. Work from 9 to 5. Working on the show has been my focus. The show won't save us this time." Robyn retaliated. "TLC is retreating." There. Now more intrigued by Meri and Janelle. Kody's eyes blazed with something. Fear, rage, maybe both. "You believe I am solely to blame for this. The houses were everything you desired. You desired the way of life." She trembled, but not because she was sad. It was bitter and rough. "I desired a life in which we could take pride. We currently owe a lot of money and have a rental." Denser than any quarrel they had ever had, silence descended between them. In a still montage, sunlight streamed into a bedroom that Meri had painted golden warm. Janelle's hands plotting the rows in her garden while kneeling in the backyard. Robyn alone in the dark, looking through outrageously expensive real estate online. And at night, Kody sits in his truck and gazes at the shadowy outline of the McMansion that was once his. They all sensed that the power had shifted. Coffee mixed with a touch of nervousness in a TV station's green makeup room. Wearing a blouse in a mauvey hue with a subtle gloss and a gold pendant that was intended to give off a pleasant vibe. In order to portray herself as an innocent victim of misfortune rather than a conspirator, she had practiced her lines. Simply put, the producer had urged the presenter to keep it relatable. The host grinned broadly as the camera rolled. "For years, viewers have followed your path, Robyn. Many were taken aback by the court's decision. How are you?" Robyn's tone trembled just enough to sound genuine. "It's been awful. People accuse me of being deceptive and greedy, but all I ever wanted to protect my family. My children felt safe in those homes. It has been horrible losing them. As the camera drew closer, she leaned forward a little, her eyes sparkling. No one truly understands what it's like to be singled out. Even though I married into a family I thought would be intact, I've been treated like an outsider. For something I didn't do, I've been held accountable. As the conversation and Robyn's meticulously crafted character unfolded in the studio, the host nodded slowly and empathetically. Lights. With her eyes focused on the ground, Robyn let out a deep exhale. She remarked in a quiet but forceful voice, "I think people got it wrong. Those real estate deals were misinterpreted." However, Meri and Janelle sensed an opportunity and seized it. "I'm starting over now." Tightly held in her lap, the camera hung on her hands. The implicit message was obvious. "Please feel sad for me." It was a quiet Friday night when the interview aired. It was all over by Saturday morning, but not in the way Robyn had hoped. A live video on Instagram began. Moving around. "You all saw Robyn's interview," Meri said in a calm, steady tone. "And she left out some pretty important details, like the fact those property transfers happened without our permission, or how she pushed Kody to cut us off during the pandemic, so we'd be forced out of the family homes." Meri and Janelle, coffee mugs in front of them, sat one beside the other in Janelle's newly renovated kitchen. Janelle immediately jumped to her defense. "History, but court records are open to the public. Anyone can look them up. We weren't stealing anything from her. We were taking back what was rightfully ours from the start." Meri slouched forward, her voice stiffening. "If we're talking about protecting children," she forgot that she signed one of the houses in her name only a few weeks after stating that she wasn't interested in material possessions. "I still have the messages." Janelle's phone rang off camera. She glanced at it and grinned. "Court documents are already available." By Sunday, #Robyn Lies and Team Meri Janelle were already trending on Twitter, with fans pointing out contradiction after contradiction in every shot of Robyn's interview. Back at the rental, Robyn sat on the couch, gripping her phone as the comments came in, irate, mocking, and relentless. Her voice was raw when she uttered the barely whispered words, "They're killing me. They're making me into a monster." Kody didn't look up from the kitchen. From his coffee, he said, "You went on TV. You opened the door. What did you expect?" She glared up at him. "I expected you to stand up for me to make a statement." He folded his arms. "Stand up for what?" The words hit her like a blow, and for the first time, she began to see Kody not as a friend, but as someone who might be escaping. A final montage showed Meri grinning while reading encouraging messages, and Janelle laughing while speaking on the phone with her son Hunter about her new garden. Kody was driving around Flagstaff at almost midnight when Robyn shut herself in the small home office. The kids were asleep, and Kody half listened to an old Western movie in the living room. She glared at her phone before making the call. "Hello, this is Sharon with TLC Development." Robyn breath. Robyn Brown from Sister Wives. Robyn huddled in the darkness, its glow lighting up tear-stained cheeks as another offensive headline appeared. "I do for you. I've been thinking it's time for a new chapter. A show about my story, my truth, and what it's like to rebuild after betrayal." Sharon's voice changed to producer speak. Robyn continued, "The network is well aware of public opinion currently, and it's not positive, but that's why it might work. Redemption. People could actually see who I really am." Meri's phone buzzed with a message from a former TLC crew member the following morning, and she read it while sipping coffee at her kitchen table. "FYI, Robyn's pitching a spin-off, says it's her redemption story." Meri called Janelle right away. "You won't believe this." A few minutes later, they were on a video call, and Janelle's kitchen was filled with sunlight. Janelle said bluntly, "She's trying to rewrite everything all over again. If she gets a platform, we'll be the..." Robyn's voice broke the silence as Kody occupied the rental's small back porch, looking out over the patchy yard. "Last night, I called TLC about a potential show, just the kids and I." Kody slowly turned to her. "Without you," thinking that it might be less complicated that way. Meri's jaw clenched, so we ensure she doesn't get it. They decided to go public with all their receipts, all their behind-the-scenes reality, before TLC could risk another PR nightmare. She snapped back. He stepped back, his hands in his pockets. "No, you are trying to cover yourself, And I am not sure I wish to be involved in whatever this becomes. Or maybe you think I would ruin it for you. You think I can't see what you're doing. You're trying to find relevance, and it's making us look pathetic. I'm just trying to keep us alive." The words lingered in the air, delicate and breaking at the same time. 2 days later, Meri and Janelle sat in. "Good morning, everyone," Janelle said in a sweet but firm voice as she opened the door to Janelle's living room, a phone on a tripod between them. Meri's voice was steady but stern as she leaned forward and said, "We wanted to share some stories, the kind that never made it to air." She mentioned instances when Robyn and Kody promised us an equal part in the transactions, and then secretly transferred all the property into her name. Or how we were told there was no money for hours while she was entirely remodeling her flat. There was no shouting, no frowning. Merely an ongoing, step-by-step flow of documents, emails, texts, and receipts. By the end of the video, the comments section was filled with outrage directed against Robyn, and it quickly gained popularity. The hashtags were unavoidable as a TLC executive browsed through her iPad in a glass-walled office in Los Angeles. "Truth prevails. Scrap the Robyn spinoff and support Meri and Janelle." With a sigh, she turned to her helper and said, "Cease all talk of a Robyn performance. The optics are awful. If we do anything, the crowd is already there. It's with Meri and Janelle." Robyn sat by herself on the couch, her phone weighing heavily in her grasp. "At this time, we shall not proceed with the project development for a solo endeavor." She felt sick to her stomach. She was spared the question of why. Before she could get to the door, Janelle and Meri had already shut it. "Who was that?" Kody shouted from the kitchen as she stuffed the phone back in her pocket. "No one." However, the truth struck her more forcefully than she had expected. This time, there was nothing left for her to do. Not at all. Meri and Janelle laughed together across coffee and designs as the sun sank over a neighborhood that wasn't Robyn's. Robyn watched at the doorway of the rental as Kody's truck drove off without a word. The quiet was provided by the ticking clock until the gravel crunch subsided. The nights flowed together. Kody was going out later to run errands, visit the children, and not come home till the next morning. The phone went straight to voicemail when she tried to call. He entered one morning with the scent of a bonfire. She yelled at Gabriel and Garrison. "Where were you? We had a conversation. I couldn't be texted." He walked right by her without a word. No longer believed it to be significant. Meri and Janelle took the stage at a benefit event to raise money for women's shelters at a crowded community center. Their embrace was recorded by flashing cameras. Janelle started, "We understand the strength that comes from being together, and what it's like to start over. It's not about us," Meri went on. "You can too." There was a big cheer from the audience. The air was charged. Despite the off-camera presence of TLC cameras, their footage was compelling. The heroines had previously been chosen by the fans. The headlines the following morning shouted, "Meri and Janelle steal the show." Robyn spent hours scrolling through the praise that her former sister wives were receiving. Kody was camping with Logan and spending more time with the kids. His reaction to her question about why she hadn't been invited was hurtful. "They're not. It's complicated, but I'm eager to see you." "They're my family too," she insisted. "They don't think so." She attempted to entice him back one Thursday. Her renowned handmade buns, mashed potatoes, and roast chicken. He never returned home. Something inside her broke by the time she extinguished the candles. That evening, she called TLC again. Just an appeal, no pitch. "I must present my case. I'll be gone forever if I don't." The other person's voice was cold. "The viewers have gone on. You don't have the numbers, Robyn. A character they no longer identify with cannot be the foundation of a show." It felt like the last door slammed when the phone call ended. With laughter following them, Meri and Janelle walked around their renovated house, while sunlight streamed through newly painted windows. Kody and his sons threw a football in a wide open field while the sky was blue. And Robyn, with her face white and her gaze unfocused, stacked dishes in the silent rental kitchen in slow, methodical movements. The lonesome clock's tick reverberated in a deserted room, its quiet swallowed by the final burst of sound before it vanished into thin air. The driveway was bare on the exterior. Standing at the edge, Robyn's eyes followed the freshly created tire tracks that were buried in the ground, traces of the eviction vehicle. The wind from Flagstaff sliced through the trees and pricked her face. The house where she and Kody vowed to grow old hung empty and unoccupied to her back. She had been humiliated in public during the 2 days she had been given to go. Whispers curled like vapor beneath coffee mugs as neighbors sat on porches. Her eye was no longer avoided, even by the pleasant ones. Everybody had received the news. In a historic decision, the court grants Meri and Janelle Brown assets and damages. They all knew Robyn had lost. Across town, she was now unloading at a little rental. Her kids are seated on the floor with glowing phones in their hands. They both looked through the same viral videos, Janelle and Robyn crying as they were brought past reporters. As she left the courtroom, Meri grinned and embraced her attorney. When she watched Meri's Instagram live that evening, the pain got worse. The remarks were fierce, but no names were exchanged. Meri had added, "There are times when you feel like you've built a family, only to find out they were building walls between you and your future." Those walls fell down today. The global web went crazy. That night, Robyn was unable to fall asleep. On the other side of town, Janelle and her eldest daughter, Savannah, were sipping tea in their small kitchen. This was more than just a court win. It was intimate. For years, Janelle had been marginalized, coerced, and utilized as a stand-in while Kody devoted his life to Robyn. She was now recognized by the court as a co-owner of the assets that Robyn and Kody had claimed were exclusively theirs. Grandstanding and champagne receptions were not Janelle's style. She preferred quiet satisfaction. She settled debts, purchased property for her kids, and above all, broke off all financial ties to Kody. Savannah bent over. "She will not go. Let's get this over with, Mom. You are aware of that." Janelle gave a slow nod. "She's out of moves, but she might try." Then came Meri, who had been waiting more than 10 years to finally get her chance. Victory was not as satisfying as vindication. As the sister wife who battled and won, the ruling put her in the public eye. When she proposed turning her bed and breakfast into a regional chain, investors were already lined up. She maintained her composure in interviews, indicating that she had played for a long time. Scam using family funds till the truth was revealed. She kept boxes, real boxes of papers, in private. Evidence. Although public opinion was shaky, she was aware that Robyn still had supporters. Meri wasn't going to give her the chance to shift again. One mistake may cause it to do so. Robyn and Kody's existence was a shell of what it used to be. But everything fell apart faster than she could stop it. 2 investment properties were lost. One is currently being renovated by its new owner, while the other is being put up for auction. Images of her once stately home in Flagstaff now appeared on the internet, desolate and empty. Kody refused to back down. He was upset with her, not the court. He believed that she engaged Meri and Janelle in a public argument, that she pushed too hard, and that she didn't settle gently. He slammed the door after one last night of shouting, and didn't come back until the following day, when he did, surrounded by the stink of alcohol and defeat. Robyn didn't ask him where he had gone. Her problems were more urgent. Her lawyers. The phone's voice was severe. Meri and Janelle were requesting authorization from the court to examine her old business papers. Robyn would lose more than just her possessions if they found out what they were after. She could possibly go to jail.